The way to protect today's global democracy is with arms and support for Ukraine's fight against Russia, not by negotiations. That was the message from US and Western diplomats, officials and military leaders at the Halifax International Security Forum, a major annual national security conference that brings together democracy advocates from around the world. The message was also supported by Ukrainian democracy activists. Support for the fighting comes against a growing narrative around the need for peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. Democracy without weapons is, blah blah blah, democracy activist and former member of Ukraine's parliament Hanna Hopko said on Sunday, summing up the atmosphere of the three-day conference. Even the Joe Biden administration, which has had senior leaders disagree publicly about when diplomacy should begin, is making one of the strongest cases for continuous, uninterrupted aid to Kyiv. The outcome of the war in Ukraine will help set the course for global security in this young century, and we in North America have no choice but to ignore this one, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin told the forum. Stability and prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic are at stake, he said, as quoted by Politico, Monday, the 21st of November 2022. The forum has long served to excite U.S. and Western leaders around issues of global importance with the aim of promoting democracy around the world. Ukraine's battle against Russian President Vladimir Putin's aggression is the main focus of this year's session. We cannot let Russia and Putin get away with this kind of aggression, Dutch Defense Minister Kajsa Ollongren said on the sidelines of the meeting. Ukraine is fighting this war, but it is also our war, he said. If Russia wins, it will have a direct impact on our security. Participants addressed the growing debate about when and how to start peace talks during 3 days of public and private sessions, but the main message from the conference was to support Ukraine. Ukrainian officials who traveled thousands of miles amid the war to Halifax said they felt supported by the support. I feel a strong bond, especially being here, Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine Olga Stefanishina told reporters during a roundtable meeting. 9 members of the U.S. House of Representatives emphasized that bipartisan support for helping Ukraine defeat Russia has not diminished on Capitol Hill. This is probably one of the most bipartisan issues I've seen since I've been in Congress, said Senator Jim Risch of Idaho, a Republican on the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee. There are only a handful of people who refuse to get involved in this struggle in Ukraine, Risch added. So, focus on the majority. We are bound to do this bipartisanly. We are hand in hand in this. Despite the promises, Ukraine has expressed concern that the Republican-led U.S. Parliament will have no appetite for long-term economic aid to Kyiv. The global echoes of the war in Ukraine have become the main concern of leaders from all over Europe. If we lose in Ukraine, we lose Belarus, we lose credibility worldwide, Polish Defense Chief General Rajmund Andrzejczak told Politico at the conference. China is watching the conflict closely, said Andrzejczak. According to him, because Beijing is a more serious long-term threat, success in Ukraine will also have repercussions in the Indo-Pacific. It is a matter of synchronizing our efforts, he said. If we do not fulfill the mission first in Ukraine, we will not be ready for mission number 2, which is China. The general's comments underscore how the tone in Halifax changed 180 times from last year. Then, the failed U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan, the January 6th uprising and Russia's military buildup on the Ukrainian border made transatlantic allies question the strength of America's democracy and global commitments.